is my meditation all the day, all the night, morning through night. And I delight in the law of the Lord, and on his law I meditate day and night. Morning Meditations with C.J. Marshall.
Good morning. Did you know that you, even in this moment, are at war? You are sitting down in a war, and it's a spiritual war, and it's not a war even with the devil, not the war I'm talking about this morning. It's a war between your flesh and your spirit. A war with yourselves, as it were, an internal struggle. Paul describes this in Romans 7 as doing what I know I should not do, as practicing the very thing that he hates. It's a war that causes us to do things that we really don't want to do. And he also, in Galatians 5, talks about the struggle. But I say in Galatians 5:16, but I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the spirit are against the desires of the flesh are against the spirit, and the desires of the spirit are against the flesh. So these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Paul starts this section by giving us a command. He commands us to walk by the Spirit. Walk by the Spirit so that you do not gratify the desires of the flesh. See, we have two different aspects of ourselves that we're fighting against. At war with ourselves with our fleshly desires that want to please ourselves and please what we want to do. These are often sinful desires. And in the context of Galatians 5 here, they are sinful desires. And there is spiritual desires. Walking by the Spirit. Keeping in step with God's Spirit. In fact, one of the translations in Galatians 5:16 translates it this way. That we are to keep in step with the Spirit. We have spiritual desires and we have fleshly desires, and they are diametrically opposed one with another. And verse 17 tells us that they're fighting, they're competing against one another. The desires of the flesh are against the Spirit. The desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. They are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. That's where the internal struggle comes in, the war, because we have two different desires. We want to please God, but our flesh wants us to rebel. We have desires and wants the body craves. Like John says, all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the flesh wants us to keep us paralyzed away from God. But what's the answer? Being led by the Spirit. Verse 18, but if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. What's the answer for pleasing God? What's the secret to not giving to our flesh? Being led by the Spirit. Or, he says again in verse 16, walk by the Spirit. You will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Although there is an internal struggle within you, there is hope. We have this promise. If we walk by the Spirit, we will not gratify the flesh. And so this war within us can cease if we live by God's Spirit. Thank you for meditating with me this morning on the Word of God. Just like the psalmist that says, oh, how I love you, Lord. It is my meditation all the day. I'll see you next time. God bless.
Morning meditations, oh how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day, all the night, morning through night. And I delight in the law of the Lord, and on his law I meditate day and night.